Welcome, everybody. Hey, thanks for being on tonight's call. Tonight's call, I'm really excited about. We have so many people on this call, more than 50 people on the call already. That's so cool, who are all interested in the same thing, improving our metabolic health, getting results for ourselves and our loved ones in a natural, safe, sustainable way. And the goal of tonight's call is to provide some coaching and to explain the science behind this protocol and answer questions that you might have. Whoever you are on this call that has a question or is concerned or maybe unsure about this protocol, this call is for you. Many of you, I see your faces and I know who you are, and I know you're kicking butt right now with this protocol, and it has changed your life and helped you get off medications and a number of other good things. And I want to celebrate that. But I also want to make this call a safe space for the person or two that may be on here that maybe isn't getting great results yet. Perhaps you're frustrated, perhaps you're plateauing, perhaps you're not sure if you're even doing it right. This call is for you as well. And I want you to feel like you can step forward and ask your questions and get a response. This is all about you, okay? My name's Trent. Many of you, well, most of you, I assume, if you're on this call, have seen my videos. I talk a lot about insulin resistance and metabolic health, and we've got a protocol that is changing the world. This is a protocol that works fantastically, and my favorite thing about it is that it's measurable. You can prove that it works if you're measuring yourself on the scale or in your clothing and that your waist and your hips. But if you do a blood test, the real proof is right there. It is drastic, measurable results on a blood test. Now, normally what I do on these calls, I do these every week. Actually, I've done two this week, one for a group of European customers and one for customers here in North America who have ordered the protocol and are just wanting to see results, right? Normally what I do is I dive right into the science behind the protocol. We'll do some of that on tonight's call, but tonight's call, we're going to do something special because it's been about a year now that I've been talking about this protocol. And there's many of you that have been on this protocol for a year or so now. And I thought it would be fun to highlight a few of you and just check up. This is your birthday or close to it, where you've been on the protocol for about a year. And to get some stories from some people that have been on the protocol and been on it consistently and see what it's done for them. So to begin this call, we're going to start there. I'm looking for one guest that I don't see yet that I've invited, but there's a good chance I don't see him because he's not logged in under his own name. So we'll look for him later. Abshir, if you're here, just put something in the chat so I know which account is yours. But to begin, I would like to start by asking Jackie Lackey to come on to this call. And Jackie has been on the protocol for give or take a year along with her husband. And Jackie, I'm interested to hear what it has done for you. What has this protocol done for you so far?
So I'm right at a year. My year started August 5th, 2022, when we started the protocol. We started it because Clint Lackey was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I'm trying to get out of the sun, y'all, so you can see me better. Was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes from our orthopedic surgeon. He was going in to have a routine hip surgery when the orthopedic surgeon said A1C 7.7 and you have type 2 diabetes. And he's been our bearer of bad news for a long time. And he said, well, if your doctor will sign off on it, we will go through with surgery the next day. So he sent it over to our PCP and she said, absolutely not. She sent me my first text message and said, meet me in the office Monday morning. We went in Monday morning. We redid Clint's labs. She took us to the back and told us that he needed to be on metformin, a blood pressure pill, a high cholesterol pill, and to start the heart healthy diet. And she really got on to me because I don't like metformin. She said, but if you don't put him on metformin, he's going to have a heart attack. So we left that office, went and bought $500 worth of groceries, metformin, blood pressure pill, high cholesterol pill. In doing so, we started green and clean. No carbohydrates, no sugars. So I felt like in a week, my husband's numbers should have already been down. They didn't go down. 3 weeks, 4 weeks, no numbers down. June 2nd, Clint got sick, but June 27th, we had his hip resurgery rescheduled. June 2nd, he falls gravely ill. We're in the specialist's office. Specialist says he's on a catheter and he's bedridden. And he looked really sick, y'all. And I don't rely on man or woman. So I went home and I prayed for a week when this guy came across my TikTok and he said, "Are you struggling with type 2 diabetes? Do you want to see it reversed? Try the system." We ordered it and we started it. In the first week, Clint's numbers went down. And they did that for 4 weeks straight. They put him on a glucose monitor. He was on the glucose monitor for 2 weeks. In the 2 weeks that he was on the monitor, and then we go into our brand new doctor who walks into the room and says, "How are you guys lackeys doing?" And we said, "Great." And he said, "I know, I've seen your results. But Mr. Lackey, if you had the most extreme exercise program and the most extreme nutritional guideline, you wouldn't run a 113. You ran a 113 every day for 14 days. So what are you using?" We said Unicity, Unimate, and Balance. He looked it up immediately. Second, he looked it up. He said, "Where did you find this?" And I was too embarrassed to say TikTok. So I said, "The internet." And he said, "You've stumbled on something miraculous here. This does what metformin and Ozempic does, but it does it all natural. And it's patented and it's proven." And he gave me his personal number that day. And he said, "Anything you do with this company, you call me. I'm Tin Martin. I will come up and talk about this Unicity company, hands down." He said, "I'm a holistic doctor before a medicine doctor, and this is what I look for." Then he looked at Clint Lackey and he said, "A1C 5.0. Let me jump back to loop a part of our story. 2 weeks after we saw our PCP, she called us and Clint's A1C had registered at 8.8. So for that year, we had 8.8, 7.7, and then Tim Martin says, "Clint Lackey, your A1C is 5.0. You're in remission. Get off the blood pressure, get off the metformin, and stay off the cholesterol. This health system has put you in remission." So we walked out of there ecstatic. Now I'm going to loop another part of the story really quick because I don't want to take up Trent's time. But in 6 weeks, my husband's type 2 diabetes in remission off of all meds. I don't think that's the best part of my story. I think the best part of our story and our journey is my mama. My mom is from Connecticut. She is 71 years old. She turned 71 on 6/29. She is stubborn. Yankees are stubborn. So mama didn't want to get on this product no matter what she knew that happened to me or her son-in-law. She called me when there was going to be a shortage of Ozempic. And she said, "Jacqueline, what am I going to do without Ozempic?" And I said, "Mama, I don't know." She said, "What am I going to do? How am I going to go on?" I said, "Mama, I don't know." She said, "Do you think your health system will work for me?" I said, "Mama, if it does, you will be the story of my life. Try it. I think it will work for you." So mama got on the system. 7 months later, y'all, my mama, who has had type 2 diabetes for 40 years, in remission in 7 months off of her metformin, off of her Ozempic. Okay, y'all? And I'm going to throw in one more deal and then I'm going to go so Trent can go to the next person. Mama, for as long as she has had type 2 diabetes, y'all, every quarter, she's normally got to go in to her doctor to have her eyes lasered. Okay. In March, Mama went in to have her eyes done. And the doctor said, "Debbie Rose, what are you doing?" And she said, "My daughter Jacqueline has me on this daggum health system." And the doctor said, "Take that every day for the rest of your life until you leave this earth. I have been lasering your eyes for 10 years. This is the first time we haven't had to laser them. This bleepity blop," and he said vulgar words, "this works." So y'all, mama in remission in 7 months. Where am I a year later? I am down 104 pounds. I went from a size 14 plus to a size 6. And Clint Lackey went from type 2 diabetes to in remission 6 weeks off of all of his medicine, and he's down 100 pounds. So a year later, if you order the system, consistency and patience is the key to getting those results. If you follow every single day, I always say it, 1, 2, 3 to healthy. There you go, Trent.
Oh, Jackie. Hey, we should end the call right now. I'm so, so happy for you. I asked Jackie to do something that was maybe a little bit of a big ask. and I asked Jackie to try and send me some photos of before, and nobody likes to do that. And so she was gracious enough to do that. But this is Jackie a year ago trying to hide from cameras. And here's another one. Are you guys able to see these?
Yeah, we can see him.
Right. And then here's Jackie today. And I can tell it is today because it's the same dress and you're walking outside around the pasture just like you were. So Jackie, we are so happy for you and for Clint, and credit to you. I mean, the credit is, you deserve the credit for taking the power back, for being consistent and doing your part. Clint and Jackie, we're so happy for you guys. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna, I've got a couple of these lined up. And again, if you've never been on one of our calls, we don't usually start like this, but I thought it would be good to do a little check-in. So the next person is a friend of mine who I think had seen one of my videos, and well, I'll let him tell the story, but his name is Abshir, and Abshir and I have become friends. We were strangers before meeting through TikTok, and Abshir has been doing this. Look, he's even got Unimonte and balance boxes stocked in his office. But Abshir, you've been on the product for about a year now. Tell us, what has been your experience?
This September 6th will be my first year anniversary for the Feel Great system. I couldn't be more happier. It completely changed my life. I want you to think about this. I was on vacation in Turkey, and everywhere I go, I have to walk uphill. And I was like 285. I just couldn't get up to the hill. I couldn't walk that high. And I started to run out of breath. And as a result, I made a promise for myself that whatever it takes, I'm going to change my life and I'm going to lose the weight. As soon as I came back, I went on YouTube. I just typed how to lose weight. And the first video that came up was Trent. And he was showing me a couple of these boxes and like, you take this before meals and one in the morning, you could lose your weight. I was like, what is he talking about? I have been fasting on my own and I can do this. This is easy for me. So I ordered it at the same day. I ordered it. It was shipped to me while I was still on vacation in Turkey. And it came on September the 6th. I started at 7 p.m. And ever since I've been on it, first month, I lost 20 pounds. And the rest is history. I came back to the US. I came back to my restaurant and people were saying, oh, you didn't lose that much, Abshir. What's wrong? We thought you're going to be running up and down the hill in Turkey and you're going to lose a lot of weight. I told them, I said, I have a secret. Give me a couple months, you'll see it. Within the second month, people noticed the difference. My face was shrinking, my neck was shrinking. Overall, my body was shrinking. I was feeling great. They saw me carrying this little bottle, the diamond bottle, everywhere and drinking it. And within first 5 months, I lost about 80 pounds. And the rest is history. As of today, I lost 115 pounds. I feel wonderful. I look amazing. I look 20 years younger. My customers are all surprised. My family members are on it. So I just feel I'm the luckiest human being. To top it off, I honestly didn't even go to the gym. And here I am. I look amazing. I take the product every day. People are saying to me, I'm sure you're so skinny. Your shoulders and everything, you lost a lot of fat and you need to take it easy and maybe eat breakfast in the morning. So I just feel comfortable. My routine is amazing. I eat 2 times. I eat healthy food and I'm comfortable weight now. I'm just feeling amazing. My overall health is perfect. And I just can't wait to share this with everyone. If people want to do something that's simple, easy to do, this is the best way to do it. And, you know, a couple of videos I've done, people are calling me back home, small village. They're saying, we want whatever you used, that's what we want. I have to ship boxes and boxes of this overseas to Africa. So people everywhere need this product. We just have to get the product over to them. And I'm just one of the luckiest person to find this. I've been overweight for over 20 years. I didn't know what to do, and I love food. So I still eat the same food, but I'm a completely different person. And
Here. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
so, you know, I'm luckiest person because I found this when I was at my lowest point in my life. I was at the borderline for diabetes. I already had blood pressure. I had terrible acid reflux. When I breathe in the daytime, you know, normally, and I'm in conversations, people could hear me like I am snoring in a broad daylight in a regular conversations. Within 10 days, all that was gone. 10 days. And I'm extremely happy that this product was able to help me that much. And I'm sure this same product, I'm no different. I'm an ordinary person. I eat the same food most people eat. If this product can completely transform my life the way it has, it can do the same thing for anybody, anywhere in the world. And people just, you know, when they see me, that's all they need. They just need to get the product on their hands. And I feel wonderful that I'm able not only to help myself, but help so many other people who could not have done this without this system.
Abshir, thank you so much. And guys, I assure you that these are not paid actors and actresses, okay? I reached out to them and just said, hey, I want to do something special. You know, it's usually just Trent talking on these calls and giving people a bunch of science that puts some people to sleep. And you've been on the product for almost a year. I'd love to get an update. I had no idea what they were going to say other than that I knew that they had been using it consistently. And I'll just share my screen once more. This is on Abshir here. Abshir had sent me a couple of photos, and you know, it's so cool to be making these friends. Abshir is from Somalia, and has a very, you know, go eat at his restaurant in Seattle. He's got a Somali restaurant, East African food, right? And this is Abshir before. So this is Abshir before. These are the pants that Abshir used to wear to work.
That's correct.
And that's Abshir now.
44 to 32.
44 to 32. And this looks like it's maybe halfway through your journey. And this is, of course, a more updated picture. So Abshir, we are so happy for you. Thank you for taking a few minutes. We have one other guest, but man, hats off to you.
Thank you.
Okay. The next guest is a friend that also was a stranger a year ago today, but saw the protocol online and decided that he would give it a try because of some pain he was experiencing. And so his name is Greg. Greg, talk to us. What's your experience been? You've been on it for coming up on a year. We'd love to hear an update.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, man. At the end of this month, that'll be 1 year. It's surprising to me how fast it's gone. I'm a completely different person than I was a year ago. I'm 53 years old, and 1 year ago, I physically, internally, I felt the worst that I had felt, and it was primarily because of my feet. At the age of 45, when I was 45, my dad passed away. And from 46 to 52, my neuropathy specifically continued to hurt my feet worse and worse. I didn't know it was called neuropathy. I just thought you're getting older. and your feet hurt. And I would go into a couple different doctors, and they would make comments like that. Well, yeah, you know, you're getting older. People have foot pain. Never mentioning the word neuropathy, never mentioning what we could do about it. The response was, well, we'll keep an eye on it. But the years kept passing. I got to the last year, I was 52 years old, and I went in there. And at this point, I'm mad about this now, because I had actually done some insurance work. I got licensed in 25 states to do insurance work, talking to seniors. And the common theme that was coming up was they weren't happy with their meds. And the primary ones I was hearing them talk about was metformin and gabapentin. So I didn't know that I had neuropathy. I had not been diagnosed with that. So now when I go in there, I know what metformin is. I know what gabapentin is. I'm not interested in that. I want to get to the root cause, but I still don't know the word root cause. And I don't even understand the core issue, because I hadn't stumbled across this protocol yet. And the doctor says, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your pain level? And I'm like, it's a 10, doc. And I'm mad, because this isn't the first time I've had this conversation. And then his immediate response to my irritation is, well, I can prescribe you gabapentin and metformin and gabapentin, which just made me more frustrated, because we still haven't said anything about it being neuropathy. We haven't said anything about where it comes from. Why do I have it? It was nothing like that. It was just, well, okay, if it's bothering you that bad, we'll just give you that. Well, then when I started probing, he's like, well, you know, you're probably pre-diabetic. All right. So then I go home, I'm laying in bed, my feet are killing me. I'm talking to God in bed that night saying, what am I going to do? Because this isn't pain that I can handle. It's excruciating at times. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And I could keep going on and on, to the point the sheet is too heavy. The blanket is too heavy. The comforter is too heavy. I'm every night ripping that off the corner of my bed because my feet have to stick out. I found this guy doing a video like this. I've watched his video since then, but the one thing that stood out to me in that video is he said, I had neuropathy, now I don't. I had neuropathy pain, now I'm not hurting. I'm like, I'm getting that. Whatever that is, I'm getting that. That was Boogie. Some of you know Boogie. Many of you know Boogie. I ended up hearing about that protocol. I started using that within 30 days, my neuropathy pain came down by 80%. Within 90 days, 3 months, the 90-day money back guarantee, my neuropathy pain was down 95%. It was just blew me away. If all it ever was 80%, that in itself was enough. That wasn't the only thing wrong with me, though. I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high triglycerides. That came down in that 90 days. My brain fog dissipated, and the poor circulation to my legs went away. So to me, I knew that I was on a path that I was going to end up in the same condition as my father. He died of a heart attack. I saw him on Thursday, 2015, first week of April. Thursday, he was fine. Friday, he got the flu. Saturday, the medical examiner would tell me that he had been vomiting blood and mucus, had abrasions in his throat. He would have been exhausted. He would have been dehydrated. And my dad was dead Sunday morning. He was fine Thursday. So don't think for a minute in this age bracket that feeling fine means you're fine. You need to know. I'm no longer suffering from those things. I'm no longer having to worry about that path of heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high triglycerides. And now I'm happy to tell the world about that.
Oh,
Thanks,
Greg. Thank you. I mean, again, credit to Greg and Jackie and Abshir for being the type of people that say, I'm going to do something about this, and for being consistent. I mean, you've been consistent for a year, and your stories and your pictures and everything are just an inspiration to all of us. Greg, having lost my dad, I know exactly how that feels. And that's really what got me started talking about this. 6 years ago, my dad died from stage 4 colon cancer, the greatest guy in the world, but he had the world's worst diet. He turned to food every time life got tough, and that eventually killed him. And part of the reason why we're all stuck in these ruts and we have these bad habits is because we're playing against a rigged deck. What I mean by that is our food has been altered. And we have been told that we need to be eating and snacking all the time. And they're feeding us fiber-stripped processed foods. This is a recipe for an obesity epidemic, a diabetes epidemic, a heart disease epidemic, an irritable bowel syndrome epidemic, and that's exactly where we are today. And what's amazing is if eating too much, too often, and eating fiber-stripped foods is what got us sick, then perhaps simply bringing the fiber back into the diet and doing some intermittent fasting, basic fasting, I'm not talking about extreme stuff, some basic fasting where we give our bodies a little rest from all the food and all the sugar and all the glucose. Perhaps just doing those two simple things, fiber and fasting, can get us unsick. And that is exactly what we've seen with you guys. And that's exactly what I've seen in my life and for my family and many people on this protocol. Now, there's a chance that some of you have no idea what any of us are talking about, and you're not sure exactly what these three wonderful people, thanks again, guys. I mean, to put you on the spot moments before this call and have you deliver what you just did, it sounded like you guys are reading from a script. That was so beautiful. And we could end the call right now. We've got a couple of other guests though. So I think, we won't end it just yet. And I want to get to some questions if there are any. Here is how this protocol works, plain and simple. If this is your breakfast and this is your lunch and this is your dinner, what we have been doing is we've been skipping a meal each day. I won't go into the science on this call, but trust me on this, breakfast for most people is the easiest meal of the day to skip. And when we skip breakfast, just as an added side benefit, we usually save money, right? And the average person on breakfast spends, let's say, $5. Now, you can't get out of Starbucks or McDonald's right now for a breakfast meal of $5. But let's just go with that, okay? So what we have all been doing is we take this $5 that we just saved and we fast through breakfast. When we fast, we're keeping our insulin levels intentionally low. This allows us to burn body fat for fuel. In the morning, as you skip breakfast, you are not starving. You are just switching fuel sources. Instead of burning the juice and toast that you were going to have for breakfast, you are going to burn your fat for breakfast. You are eating your own love handles for breakfast. And as your love handles get thinner, your wallet gets a little bit fatter, saving that money. And we take the $5 and we use it to buy some things that not only make it easier, but make the results come faster and more substantially than they otherwise would. And so mine's just about gone today. I need a refill. But in the morning, I am skipping breakfast and sipping this, my Unimate. I can go into a 5-hour presentation on why this is something that everybody should have every morning. I believe this is going to replace coffee and tea, and I realize that that's one heck of a statement. But when knowledge spreads about what chlorogenic acid can do as the best dietary polyphenol that I know anything about, I mean, it is amazing stuff. And all of you, I'm preaching to the choir with most of you that have tried this and know about it. But simply put, when you sip this, you forget about food. It makes fasting easy. I used to snack. I used to cheat when I would fast. I used to grab a couple of almonds or a carrot or a drink of something. With this, I don't even think about food. Lunchtime comes and I'm not even thinking about lunch. It makes fasting easier. So that's the Unimate. The balance is a blend of very specific plant fibers. There's no medication in either of these supplements. There's no drugs. When you have the balance before your meals, your blood sugar and insulin levels do not spike the way they otherwise would. Instead of a big spike like this at lunch and then again at dinner, there's no spike. Instead, it is a much lower, more gradual blood sugar and insulin spike. This also is very satiating. By having it before your lunch and dinner, it will fill you up. You will eat less. Fiber is amazing for satiety. So you eat less, you keep your blood sugar, your insulin, your cholesterol, your triglycerides, all of those things in check. It's really that simple. Fiber before your meals, the Unimate as you're fasting. Now, there are times when I am doing a specifically, hold on. There are times when I'm having a bad meal. You know, when it's a birthday party and we're having cake and ice cream. There's times where I'm going to eat pizza because pizza is like one of my favorite foods, right? And whenever I'm doing a meal like that, I will have 2 packets of the balance before that meal, so that I eat less of the pizza. And instead of eating a whole box of pizza, I have a couple slices and I'm done. But I trap the glucose and the fat in from the pizza in all that fiber. It creates a gel, a matrix around it. Now, when taking the product, the Unimate is a sipper. We sip this slowly, maybe 1 sip every 5 or 10 minutes. It can last you for hours, and you can fast and extend your fast and just burn those love handles while you're fasting, right? Whereas the balance, and I'm going to do a demonstration here, the balance is not a sipper. You want to chug this one, okay? Because once you mix it up, at the time of mixing it up, rather, it's very thin. It's about the consistency of orange juice. Okay, you see that? It's about the consistency of orange juice with no pulp. But I'm going to let this sit here. Normally, I would drink it right away, 5 to 15 minutes before my meal. But I'm going to let it sit here. Now, when you grab other fibers, like you could just grab any fiber powder at the store, right? Like, let's look at this Benefiber. It's about $20 at the store. And I'm going to grab a couple scoops of it real fast. We'll do a little demonstration. Then we got to get to our experts here and do some Q&A. But I want to do a little demonstration. Let's do a couple scoops of that. When we mix up the Benefiber, unfortunately, it does not have any of the same effects. And I'll prove that here in a moment after I keep talking for a while. But as those sit, that would be gelling in your stomach, okay? It's that simple. The balance you chug quickly before it thickens and expands, and the Unimate we sip. Okay, now we'll wait for these to do their thing. You can actually already kind of tell. It's already happening. If you look closely on this, can you see how you can't see Trent through the bottle anymore? It's created a fiber gel around the bottle. And this is what happens in your stomach around the food that you eat. Whereas these other fibers, and it doesn't matter if I let this thing gel for a month, it will never change its consistency. And Metamucil is also very, very inferior. And it's just, you need diverse blend of fiber to do the magic, okay? Okay, so that's the basics of the protocol. Now we've got a couple of experts on here I want to listen to and get your take on it. And we got to get to some questions here. This has been an amazing call. Thanks to you guys and your stories. I mean, we need to make that a regular thing. But I've invited Aaron Rayfield onto the call. And Aaron is admittedly a new contact of mine who is a type 1 diabetes educator. Am I saying that right?
Yep, I have type 1 diabetes.
Okay, so you have type 1 diabetes, and you're also a diabetes educator, and you have been a big fan of this protocol for you and other people with type 1 diabetes. Type 2 is very different than type 1. So Aaron, talk to us. Why, as a diabetes educator, do you love this protocol?
Well, awesome question. Yes, I've lived with one for about 31 years. That's what got me into becoming a dietitian and then a diabetes educator. And I fell down the rabbit hole of the Ozempic because I also have multiple autoimmune disease and I take steroids. So with the steroids, I put on about 60 pounds. I was miserable and didn't think anybody would listen to me because I was overweight myself. And of course, my endo said, hey, do this Ozempic. Well, that worked for a little bit until they said, hey, you're type 1. You can't take Ozempic. So I was frantic, freaking out. And then Yvette, who is very well known in our community here, I used to work with her at an insulin pump company. She reached out to me about this product. And I thought, oh my gosh, what perfect timing. I have got to do something because if you come off Ozempic, you typically will triple the weight and do it very quickly. So I immediately started it. I started doing the fasting. And I'll be honest, I can't do a low carb diet, and I may not get off my insulin. It has done is it's actually helped me improve my postprandial blood sugars. I have gained 0 weight back, which is a miracle. You do not hear that if you come off of the Ozempic. And so I have been so excited sharing it with everybody I can about how amazing it has helped me control my type 1 diabetes. I'm about 90% time in range between 70 and 180, which is incredible. The goal is about 70%. And I feel much better. My energy's changed immediately within about the first week of on this product. I love the fiber. My boyfriend's all over it. He loves the tea. We both do it. And it's just been an incredible product. And I've seen results already, even though it's been a short period of time. I can't wait to get back to you guys in 6 months and say, hey, look at me, look at my LDLs, look at my A1C, So it really has been an incredible product. And I appreciate, Yvette, Shannon for, getting me on board because I'm excited to teach it to. So. You there?
Of course, I'm on mute. I have a knack of just talking on mute. So yeah, I'm gonna invite Yvette to come on here in a second. Yvette is, a nurse and a diabetes educator too. So while Aaron, I'm interested to know what is it that a person with type 1 diabetes struggles with in terms of spikes and crashes on blood sugar that may be different than the rest of us. Can you explain that for people who know nothing about type 1 diabetes?
Yes. So type 2 diabetes, like as they're saying first, it's basically based on insulin resistance. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease where the body attacks the pancreas. Immediately, the pancreas does not produce any insulin. So you are required on insulin to sustain life, basically. I think the biggest thing, and really I always tell people type 1 is not any worse than type 2. They both can be, severe depending on how well the patient's blood sugars are. But type 1 diabetes, definitely, if I don't count my carbs right, or I don't take the right amount of medication, I can really, really, really go high, like 400 after I eat. So I don't do like a strict low carb diet. I think that's amazing for people with type 2 diabetes. But for type 1, I kind of do a moderately low. So I do about 30, about grams of carbs a meal. And I focus on, like you said, the high fiber carbohydrates, the whole grain, getting that fiber back in the diet. So really for type 1, it's not about a carb free, but it's more about a balance. And that's what we're teaching here at Unicity, which I really appreciate. And really getting those postprandial spikes, keeping that post meals down to less than 180. I've done even better. I've kept it to 135 after meals after starting the fiber supplement. So that's the biggest difference. I will say some people with type 1 diabetes are overweight, not just a type 2 diabetes thing, but people with type 1, the biggest thing is euglycemia, control of the blood sugars, balance. And, I've cut out the snacks, which has been a huge help on keeping my blood sugars less, up and down, and tried to even it out a little bit more. Does that answer your question?
It does. And one last question, Aaron, thanks so much. I mean, this is so cool that you'd come on here as a diabetes educator and just help us with this. And I'm glad that you love the protocol too. You guys, I want to say that every single person that I've met who truly knows the science on this loves it. When somebody looks at it and doesn't love it, they typically don't know the science. Gosh, that might sound offensive. I don't mean it that way, but seriously, people that get it say this is exactly what everybody should be doing. So Aaron, here's my last question. Blood sugar crashes. have you felt like because what fiber is supposed to do is it's supposed to prevent the blood sugar spike and the blood sugar crash. Are you noticing any of that yet, or is it too early?
Huge improvement. So I tend to have more low blood sugars than high blood sugars. So it's funny. One of my patients who I'm working on getting her on this system was just saying, "Hey, what if I go low?" And I said, honestly, I haven't had any lows. And I tend to go low 3 or 4 times a week. Like I've had a car accident during my pregnancy and almost killed me and my baby from low blood sugar. So I've been there. But no, I'm very steady. I've kept it around 135. It did take me a few days to adjust to it, because my body was changing. The liver naturally produces glucose at times, but now I'm waking up steady. I'm staying between 100 and 120 up until about 11 to 12:30 when I do my first meal. I'm doing my tea in the morning, which is fantastic. If I do drop, I treat it. I move on. But quite frankly, I have not had hardly any low blood sugars. So the fiber stabilize not only the spikes, but also stabilize the lows as well. And I eat balanced meals, about 2 meals a day, and that's it. That's all my body needs. So
Oh, I love it. Erin, thanks so much. So I'm going to leave you here in the spotlight if you're okay with it. And I want to talk to Yvette for a moment. And then the three of us, if there's any questions about anything that we're talking about, we're going to open this up. And if there are no questions, we can end the call. But usually there's some questions, and this is what it's for, some coaching, teaching you the science behind the protocol and coaching. And Yvette, you're a nurse, a diabetes educator. I know that a year ago, well, let's say 13, 14 months ago, you had never heard any of this. You'd not done this protocol, but you understood the science. You've been teaching it. You've been studying it. What is it that makes you love this protocol? You've put thousands of clients of yours, patients onto it. Why do you like the protocol, and what are you seeing?
In a year, I'll use my mother, 75 years old. She's been cut from stem to sternum. She was on all the meds, she had just brought home short acting and long acting insulin. I said, no, mother, no, ma'am. So I took those insulins and I put them away. And I said, you're going to follow a protocol. And she said, I'll listen to whatever you say. She's off every single medication. She's down 30 pounds. I think she's at her high school weight. I just spent the weekend with her and a week in Florida. I've never seen energy like this. I've never seen my mom so tiny and so happy, from hair to skin to feet. I mean, I've never seen my mom look like this. Well, then my older sister just got on it and she said, I cannot believe in less than a month what my hair looks like, what my stomach looks like, and how I feel. So that's just 2 stories in my own family. But I literally every day, thousands of people in a year off meds, down high school weight, more energy, more hair. I mean, it literally is taking those rogue cells that cause so many, wreak havoc in our body, from cancer to skin diseases to autoimmune disorders. I've never seen anything like this. Because I remember when Erin and I were working for that company, I'm sitting across the table with a 35-year-old blind woman. Blind. She was legally blind, because she was such an uncontrolled diabetic that she literally was blind, right? And I'm thinking, how ludicrous is this, that we're putting her on an insulin pump and still telling her she can eat carbs? I'm thinking. So anyway, the protocol, like she talks about the postprandials, the lows, the time and range that she talks about, keeping our patients here. I've never seen anything like this. Never, ever. Not in the nursing world and not in diabetes. No, never. So I've never been more proud to be with a company than this, truly.
Well, I love it. Thanks so much, both of you, for being on here. And guys, you guys are volunteering your time to be a part of this call, and I don't take that lightly. I appreciate you guys for being here very much. And I really, really appreciate it. So I am interested to now know if there's anybody on the call who needs questions answered, who needs some coaching, who is struggling, or maybe you're not struggling, but you want to share anything, right? The rest of the call, we got 14 minutes. We don't need all that time if nobody's got questions, but if anybody has questions, you can put a question in the chat, or you can raise your hand. And if you raise your hand, we'll go ahead and unmute you and allow you to ask a question. So the time is yours. And Yvette Oxford has single-handedly, you know, as a nurse and a diabetes educator teaching about this, has probably single-handedly saved 100 lives this year. I mean, it is
Yeah.
incredible what you've done, Yvette, and I'm just so proud of you, and thank you for talking about this protocol. It's awesome. Okay, I have a cousin with stiff person syndrome. Can this help? Holy cow, I don't even know anything about that. Do either of you know anything about stiff person syndrome?
Does it have a name? Like,
I think it's stiff person syndrome. I'm sorry, Nancy, it doesn't sound like we're ready to answer that question. Jeff Lanham's got a question. Jeff, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you if I can find you, brother. Okay, go ahead, Jeff.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I was actually talking to Yvette about this earlier today, and I just want to know, can I share this to, I had a type 1 diabetic reach out to me today, and I had asked Yvette about it, but, and I sent them what we talked about, but I just want to make sure that I was able to share this video later with this person so they can hear what Aaron and Yvette were saying.
Yeah, I've recorded this call and I'm happy to let you share this with them. You know, provided that Yvette and Aaron and everybody's okay with us share, and the people that shared their stories, if you guys are all okay with that, if you're not okay with it, let me know, I guess. If I don't hear anything from you by the end of tonight, I assume you're okay with it. But yeah, Jeff, we can do that. By the way, Yvette, you're seeing people's hairs getting thicker. I've never heard that. That's awesome. That's
like
really cool.
literally my fingernails. Well, if you think about rogue cells, right? When cells die and they never regenerate, hair cells, nail aging, you know, anyway, so forcing you into fasting, autophagy and all that helps with your hair, nails, and all the vitamins and minerals. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, Sylvia Martinez has 2 questions. Sylvia, do you want to come off of mute or did you want to put them in the chat? Let me see if I can find you and invite you off of mute. Oh, this has been so fun. What a fun call. Okay, Sylvia, if you'd like to come off mute, you can come off of mute. Ooh,
Okay.
and then I want to talk to Dave. Okay, go ahead,
I
Sylvia.
did put them in the chat. My first question was, and I said I joined a little late, so apologies if you covered this, but what's in the product?
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, so you might have been here late, but so let's talk. There's 2 products. The first one is a blend of fiber from plants. Oh, and let's go back to our little example here. If you look at this,
I
it's
saw
now
that.
thickened up, right? So there's a blend of different plant fibers in this. There's beta glucan, there's there's beta glucan, there's guar gum, there's pectin, there's fiber from soluble corn fiber, there's chrysanthemum, there is a vitamin complex with chromium and B vitamins, and all of these things work synergistically together to do what it does for blood sugar and cholesterol and triglycerides. This one has been studied by the Cleveland Clinic, the University of Sydney. Cleveland Clinic's the #1 heart hospital in the world. The University of Sydney invented the glycemic index. There's more than a dozen clinical studies on just this product. You will start seeing this everywhere over the next few years. I'm trying to think of something that became popular that you never knew about, but then everyone had it, maybe like the iPhone. You're going to start seeing this everywhere. I mean, you'll see it at coffee shops, donut shops. Before you have your croissant, people offer you a packet of this because of what it does for blood sugar and insulin and all the satiety, everything we talked about. The other one, now this one's a little bit more complicated in terms of what's in it. This is a concentrated extract of yerba mate. Now, Sylvia, I'm going out on a limb here, but I see your name is Sylvia Martinez. I imagine that you have some Hispanic or you're Latina, I'm guessing. But in Argentina, they've been drinking something called yerba mate for like 1,000 years. And they can't really describe why they want to drink it every day. They just say it makes them feel better. Well, now in modern times, we know exactly why they drink it every day. And it's because of something called chlorogenic acid. Now, chlorogenic acid is just about the coolest thing on the planet. And if there was a way to buy stock in chlorogenic acid, I would be telling you all to sell everything you have and go buy as much stock in chlorogenic acid as possible. Chlorogenic acid is a dietary polyphenol. And among other things, one of the things that chlorogenic acid does, and I'm sharing my screen here, Chlorogenic acid is a novel insulin sensitizer that potentiates insulin action similar to the therapeutic action of metformin. It is, am I saying that chlorogenic acid is like a natural alternative to metformin drugs? I'm not saying it. These scientists that are studying it in a lab over and over and over again are saying that it is unbelievable for insulin sensitivity. It's unbelievable for blood pressure. They actually looked at waist circumference and said that chlorogenic acid will reduce waist circumference without doing anything else different. It's anti-diabetic, it's anti-inflammatory. It is like the nectar of the gods, this chlorogenic acid. And so this Unimate is the most concentrated form of chlorogenic acid that I'm aware of on the planet. People think that they like coffee and tea because of the caffeine. But there's caffeine in lots of things. The reason why people are hooked on coffee and tea is because it's got a little bit of chlorogenic acid in it, naturally, and it just makes you feel good. And this has a lot more chlorogenic acid, 375 times as much. And yerba mate also is a natural GLP-1, for want of a better term. Dr. Andrew Huberman was just on the Joe Rogan podcast. Some of you may have heard it. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only guy that listens to podcasts anymore. But they talked about how yerba mate does the same thing to the GLP-1 as Ozempic and Wegovy and Mounjaro, only it has no side effects. So really cool science behind it. That's what's in it. And it's safe. There's no drugs. There's no medication. They're both in the physician's desk reference. Your doctor can look them up. They're well tolerated, no side effects. So great question.
Grant, hang on for just a second. I was reading through some of the comments, and I think the first question, she said it was an autoimmune disease. And then there was another question about MS, another autoimmune disease. Since I am the autoimmune disease queen over here, yes, I would highly encourage this product for any autoimmune condition because it's going to help those cells regenerate and help improve the energy of the patient. So the Feel Great system would be great for both of those patients. So hope that helps.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. Okay. Dan asked a question saying, wait a second. I looked at the back of the label on the balance and there's only 4 grams of fiber. I understand that I should be shooting for a target of 40 grams of fiber per day. And Dan might be feeling like this measly 4 grams hardly puts a dent in that target. So this is a great question. How is it possible that 4 grams of soluble fiber in balance could be so effective at what it does? Even more effective than many fiber supplements or powders that may have more grams of soluble fiber. Okay, so it's not about the amount, it's about the types. There are a bunch of different plant fibers in the product. In the product is a proprietary blend of plant-derived polysaccharides. Okay, this is fibers. And the company owns the patents. There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4 different patents on the product that nobody can copy. And they will never sell this to the pharmaceutical companies. As soon as you do that, they'll ruin it. Right? So what happens is these different types of fiber, and I'm showing my bottle here again, they interact synergistically and they give an effect. I had a chief science officer with the company tell me that these 4 grams of soluble fiber, because of the way they gel with each other, they actually have the potency of more like 15 to 20 grams of fiber. And it's something they call their 7X technology and their cardio matrix. It creates a fiber matrix that gels. Now, is Trent just talking out of his rear end right now? Guys, I can show you a bunch of studies like this one right here that will tell you this. While it is generally known that fiber is good for you, it is less well known that specific health benefits are associated with specific fiber characteristics. Many of the health benefits of fiber can be directly correlated with the viscosity of soluble fibers when hydrated. For example, gel forming. A reduction in viscosity of a given fiber will attenuate these health benefits. And a non-viscous fiber does not exhibit these health benefits. And this is why I did this little example here. When you have a viscous fiber, it can do amazing things. And this blend of fibers in just 4 grams, which is very easy on most people's gut, much easier than taking 20 grams of something else, right? It's easier on the gut and it's much more viscous than the other fibers, which have no viscosity. So that's why it works so well. And that's why 4 grams do such a good job. Great, great question. Okay. Any other, my mother started later in the fall and is now off all meds. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, could this help with Alzheimer's? Tricia, you should see our last call that was all about, well, a couple calls ago, it was all about Alzheimer's, type 3 diabetes. Insulin resistance is the root cause of Alzheimer's. They're calling it type 3 diabetes. And this protocol has been very, very helpful for a lot of people who are trying to prevent that. Great question. Wow, Sylvia Martinez. Yep, yerba mate is the Pope's daily drink. I did not know that. Okay. Trent, I think you already know a slight bit about me because of my health situation. I weigh every day. If you look at my photos, I've been steadily losing weight for a while, right up until the moment I started the Feel Great System protocol. That was the end of May. Nothing since then, and my habits, food, diet has not varied a bit. What gives? William, that is the first time I've ever heard anything like that. It would be good to probably talk. I don't know if we can tackle that in 2 minutes. So feel free to reach out to me or Yvette or one of us offline, and let's tackle that together. I've never heard that before, but I think it's more than a 2-minute question. Okay. All right, everybody, we're 1 minute away, so we're gonna just kind of politely end the call. As we end the call, I want to end on a final note. I understand that many of us, myself included, have tried everything. Different diets, counting calories, extreme exercise, elimination diets where we cut out sugar, where we do, and some of those things can be very, very helpful interventions, especially when somebody has very poor diet and lifestyle habits. However, for me, none of those things were sustainable long-term. And eventually I would fall right back into the same rut. This is something that we had 3 people on this call at the beginning of the call sharing that they've been able to maintain for a year now. And their results are incredible. 2 of them have lost a combined 219 pounds over the last year. And one of them, Greg, has got 95% of his neuropathy is gone. He said, the stories that we're getting on this are incredible, but it won't happen overnight. And it's also something that requires consistency. All of us fall off the wagon from time to time. And if you've fallen off the wagon or if you're struggling, just hop back on. Try to be consistent. Try to use it properly. If you have more good days than bad days, eventually the scale will start to flip and good things will follow. And that will allow you to be more consistent. And as you feel better and feel lighter and your blood sugar's better and your other labs are improving inside, you'll notice first the way you feel. That's why it's called the Feel Great System. It's not called the weight loss system, the weigh less system, the reverse off medication system. It's called the Feel Great System because the first thing you'll notice is the way that you feel. And that will allow you to be more consistent and to maintain your new habits. And then amazing things happen. And on this call, we saw those firsthand. We do these calls every week. If you know somebody that you care about and love that is struggling with their metabolic health, their mental health, their hormonal health, their gut health, or any of the things that we talk about, you're invited to invite them to this call. They're free calls and they can come and learn from educators, doctors. We've had all kinds of great guests on this call, and we're just all about sharing the health. So thanks for being on the call, guys. Have a great night. We'll see you.